I know it's been 2 weeks, all right? I can explain, I promise, and I will do so at the end of this video. But for now, let's just jump right into what we need to talk about. So Jake Paul versus Tommy Fury has officially been announced for the third time. Could be the seventh. I haven't really kept count. But yeah, as you'd imagine, since all of the Jake Paul fights so far have been like $50, $60, people are very hesitant to get into this fight because it might just end up being a Jake Paul versus Tyron Woodley trilogy. And personally, I'd probably pay like a lot of money not to watch that fight. You can tell they're trying very desperately to build up the hype, or whatever hype is left for this fight after Tommy Fury has pulled out twice. They did a little face-off in London yesterday, and we're gonna take a look at that later. But apparently there was supposed to be a face-to-face and also an entire press conference that Tommy Fury just didn't show up to.
All right, so we were supposed to do face-to-face with Tommy. You're used to this now.
Do you know what happened with your brother?
Bro, Tommy disappeared, bro.
I would honestly be terrified right now if I had already bought the fight, because it seems like he's already going down the Dylan Dennis route. And the fight, by the way, is $50, and so if you're genuinely excited to see Tommy Fury fight and he ends up not showing up, you're gonna end up sipping from a glass of your own tears instead of a beer. They've both agreed on the fight happening in Saudi Arabia, and so it doesn't seem like there's any way for Tommy to wiggle his way out of this one. I really hope he doesn't, because I mean, at this point, losing to Jake Paul is probably much better than pulling out for the third time. Because at that point, people can at least respect you for stepping in the ring instead of just talking so much garbage and then just not even fighting. Tommy's having a baby as well, apparently, so maybe he doesn't have as much of an issue with pulling out anymore. I'm seeing a lot of people saying that this is going to be Jake Paul's biggest test. If I'm being honest, I'd say his biggest test was probably Ben Askren. I'm joking. I think everybody agrees that Anderson Silva probably beats Tommy Fury. And so even after this fight, and I do think that Jake is going to win, but I'm going to go into that later. But yeah, I think even after this fight, Anderson Silva, is probably still going to be his biggest test. But of course, I think the Tommy Fury fight is going to give Jake a lot of credibility in terms of like he can finally walk outside without constantly being criticized for only fighting people that are the Age of War veterans. Tommy is pretty much going to be the first person that he's fought that isn't 3 years away from being in a nursery home. I still do think that it's going to be a tough fight, but I'm not seeing Jake getting the knockout here. I do think it's going to go to decision, mainly because, I mean, listen, everybody talks about Jake Paul's power, but I honestly do feel like he looks immensely powerful, only because he goes against people that are 2 decades older than him. And by the way, if Tommy does decide to pull a complete 180 and make another video staring into the camera, rambling about how he can't fight because his team said this and that.
So I just want to come in here and set the record straight before anybody else tries to. Me and my team, and my whole team.
The backup fighter is a very tough guy, Mike Perry. Now, Mike Perry, he kind of looks like Dylan Dennis, except this guy is not a complete waste of oxygen. He has a pretty decent record in the UFC. He's won a couple of fights in the Bare Knuckle FC. He's had his fair share of knockouts. He can definitely slip punches. I don't want to pretend like I'm some sort of a boxing analyst here, but I've seen a couple of his fights, and he definitely seems like a decent striker. I did notice that he's terrible at keeping his hands up. It feels like he's just gotten like conditioned in the UFC to just like at all times be prepared for a takedown. So I think that might be an issue, especially going against somebody like Jake Paul, who you definitely don't want to leave your face exposed to him. But besides that, I think he might actually be a much tougher opponent than Tommy Fury. I really do believe that. And so I feel like if you're paying for this fight just to watch a good fight, you're probably not going to be disappointed nonetheless, regardless if it's Tommy Fury or Mike Perry. We're gonna take a look at the face-off, hopefully get some content out of it, and yeah. There he is. That's him right there. I don't know why Jake decided to show up wearing a doctor's robe. Not sure if he's gonna face off with Tommy Fury or give him a prostate exam.
2 years in the making. Jake, I'm gonna come to you first.
Whoa.
Relax.
Oh.
Relax.
I like how Kratos is getting involved.
Keep this calm, one at a time.
I love just looking around the crowd and just noticing like the most like this guy literally looks like an Oompa Loompa.
I'm gonna start with you, Tommy. Tommy, you said when we spoke earlier, this man's boxing fundamentals are absolutely awful. You said you're gonna finish him. You said he's a joke. he's a YouTuber, not a fighter. Do you still believe it?
I feel like you can already tell that Jake Paul is being heavily underestimated by Tommy Fury. Like, he keeps calling him a YouTuber and all this, and maybe it's just, you know, trash talk or whatever, but hopefully he's looking at Jake like an actual fighter, because he is. I mean, he barely uploads on YouTube anymore. I don't even think he uploads every now and then, but only to promote his fight. And so I think he's definitely more of a fighter now than a YouTuber. I can't get over this guy. Like, there's no way he's not cosplaying as Kratos.
You called this man an imposter. You said that he's leaning on this Fury name. Why is that? Because you know, do you not believe in the opponents he's fought? Do you think that you're going to be too much of a test come to 26 in Diriyah?
He's fought taxi drivers. He has no chin. It's all a joke. I'm ending you February 26th, and you already know it. You're going to crack under pressure. You're not built for this moment. You're not built.
Tommy just mistook this into like a who can point to the other person more competition. If I point my finger in his face more times than he does, then that means I've intimidated him.
Knocked out by a Disney star. That's same, plain and simple. That's it. End of story. You'll see, bro. You'll see who the real professional boxer is. And all these critics, all of these people say, fight a real boxer. Here we go.
I guarantee, I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do in boxing, you are over in 4 weeks. So enjoy the last few weeks as a so-called boxer, yeah? When I hit you in the chin, you're going to stay hit, believe me.
Oh man.
Who in this fight has...
When I hit you in the chin, you're gonna stay hit. Tyson just looks so out of place, doesn't he? He looks like a retired boxer from like the 1930s. Like, you would never believe it if you hadn't watched his fights that this guy just fought like a couple of years ago.
Fighting Jake, you backed out, you're scared. You had 2 lucky opportunities to get out of this fight, and you should have took them. Because in 4 weeks, it's over. Mark my words, it's over.
In 4 weeks, it's over. I feel like they both carry equal risks here. Tommy Fury has got the whole Fury last name behind him. Jake Paul is trying to secure an actual boxing career that if he loses to Tommy Fury, it's not gonna be very difficult to move on past it. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm talking as if I'm 100% sure that this fight's gonna happen. We might actually just find out that Tommy is pulled out like right after I just upload this video. Hopefully that doesn't happen though. But yeah, I'm supposed to explain why I've been gone for a couple of days, weeks, I don't even know. I've just been all over the place. I'll be honest. I feel like I'm overthinking this whole YouTube thing. I just sort of like got stuck in a loop of coming up with ideas and having them not work, and then I just get not depressed, but like I just lose myself, I guess. I just stop everything. I don't know. It's just I've just been all over the place. All right, but everything's been all right, thankfully. And as always, teleport.